One Missed Call is Takashi Miike's entry to this trilogy. The first one came out in 2003 and is basically a similar premise of such to Ring and various other kind of J-horrors that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s. Now, the idea behind this one, the whole conceit, is that there is a phone call. You get a missed call, you listen to the message, and it's you in the future, and that is the time that you're going to die. And basically we've given a couple of sequences which are actually pretty good, pretty atmospheric and well staged, as you would expect with Miike, as we see people die in horrible fashions. And then we get thrown into our main character of Yumi, a person whose best friend gets stuck in this cycle, and she watches her kind of go away before getting the phone call herself, and the pressure's really put on to try and figure out what kind of strange apparition, supernatural entity is doing this kind of heinous deeds, and somehow figuring a way to stop it. Along for the journey is this guy whose sister was killed in a similar fashion 6 months prior, who's trying to help stop it. And the movie is pretty formulaic. It doesn't really offer much in the way of surprises narratively. It follows that kind of trend that we've seen before, but because you've got Miike at the helm, you get some really good touches and surprises in amongst the direction. There is some wonderful sequences that really do build the suspense and the tension of what's going on, as well as throwing in some awesome bloodlust at the same time. There's a fantastic sequence of Yumi's friend who gets caught up in this cycle, and she gets kind of grabbed by these television people who want to run a show on this. This isn't the kind of thing where people disbelieve that this isn't happening. These people who have a supernatural show believe it's happening, and they want to have her on it to try and exorcise the demons and solve things. And it's just so well played as it just escalates and builds up into this crescendo of atmosphere and terror and horror. That's just so expertly played out. It's just utterly wonderful. And there's a precursor to that. There's a really nice sequence which Miike does quite often in these movies that's almost throwaway, where we intercut between two people having a conversation on the phone, but they're having conversations to different people. So you've got Yumi talking to her best friend, and you've got a TV producer talking to somebody else. But you'll get Yumi's side of the conversation, and you'll get the producer's side, and it almost feels like they're having a conversation until they're not, until it shows you what's actually going on in that sequence. As usual, when it gets to the end, you've got that long black-haired demon monster that's trying to kill our two heroes, and it kind of twists and turns in a strange fashion. But what I did like about this one particularly was the absolute end of this one, how it ends up. It went in a direction that I really wasn't expecting. I liked the mystery, although I didn't feel it was a real driving force of the movie. It was ticked all the boxes and gave me a satisfying conclusion as to what was going on in that kind of sub-mystery, but it didn't feel like the real narrative driving things like it did with Ring. But that's different movies, different things. But the One Missed Call movie was fun, atmospheric, had some nice twists and turns, had some expertly set up set pieces that really did ramp up the tension. But this one felt a little bit average for me. It never excelled. I think, thanks to Miike directing it, there's some real flourishes and touches that elevates it, but it's still not as great as some of the other J-horrors that were out there at the time. I would love to know your thoughts on One Missed Call. Let me know in the comment box below. I'll see you next time on Man v Film.